The credit card statement stared back at me from my laptop screen, its total making my stomach lurch. $23,000. I blinked hard, hoping the number would change, but it remained stubbornly fixed. These weren't my charges. I hadn't spent a dime at the Golden Palace Casino, let alone multiple transactions totaling thousands. My name is Freya, and I've always been the responsible one, the one my family calls when they need money, advice, or someone to clean up their messes. But this was different. My phone buzzed. Mom's face lit up the screen, probably calling about the usual, Terrence needs help with rent, or Dad's business is having another cash flow problem. I let it ring. Girl, you look like you've seen a ghost, Natasha said, peering over my cubicle wall. Her dark curls fell forward as she leaned in closer to look at my screen. Holy shit, Freya, that's not right. Tell me about it. I scrolled through the transactions, each one making me feel sicker than the last. I need to call the bank. Do that now, Natasha insisted, pulling up a chair. I'll cover for you with Roberts if he comes looking. The hold music played for 20 excruciating minutes before a customer service representative picked up. Hi, I'm calling about some fraudulent charges on my card. As I explained the situation, the representative's voice grew concerned. Ms. Murray, these charges were actually authorized with your PIN. Do you share your card with anyone? No, absolutely not. But even as I said it, a memory surfaced. Mom asking to borrow my card last month for emergency groceries. There's something else, the representative continued. There appears to be a credit line increase request submitted last week under your name. My hands started shaking. I never requested that. Just then, my phone buzzed again. A text from Terrence. Hey sis, can you spot me $500? Just until payday. Promise I'll pay you back this time. I stared at the message, my vision blurring with tears of anger. This was the same brother who still owed me $3,000 from his last emergency. The brother Mom and Dad always said needed extra support because he was sensitive. Freya. Natasha's voice was gentle. What do you want to do? Before I could answer, my phone rang again. Dad this time. I answered, my voice tight. Hey, Dad. Princess, your mother's been trying to reach you. We need to discuss something important. Would that something be the $23,000 charged to my credit card at a casino? The silence on the other end was deafening. Freya, honey, we can explain. Your brother's been going through a rough patch. Stop. My voice came out stronger than I expected. I'm calling the police. No! Dad's voice cracked. Please, we'll figure this out as a family. You know how fragile Terrence is. This would destroy him. Natasha was watching me intently, her expression a mix of concern and encouragement. She mouthed the words, "Stay strong." Dad, what about me? Did anyone think about how this would affect me? Of course we did, Princess, but you're the strong one. You always land on your feet. Terrence, he needs protection. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Protection? From what? Consequences? Just come over for dinner tonight. Your mother's making your favorite lasagna. We can talk about this like adults. I glanced at the credit card statement again, then at Terrence's text, still waiting for a response. My whole life flashed before me. All the times I'd said yes, all the times I'd helped, all the times I'd put my own dreams on hold to be the responsible one. No, Dad, not this time. Freya. I have to go. I have a fraud claim to file. I hung up before he could respond. Natasha squeezed my shoulder. That was badass. I think I'm going to throw up. No, you're not. You're going to file that fraud claim, and then we're going to figure out exactly what they've done. She pulled out her notebook. And then you're going to stop being everyone's ATM. My phone buzzed again. Mom, this time, with a text. Please don't do anything rash, sweetheart. Family protects family. I turned my phone off and looked at Natasha. You're right. But first, I need to check something else. If they used my credit card, what's stopping them from taking out other loans in my name? The look on Natasha's face told me she'd had the same thought. As I opened a new tab to check my credit report, I could feel my hands steadying, my shock giving way to determination. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to protect my family. I was going to protect myself. Personal loan, $45,000, approved March 15th. I read the credit report entry out loud, my voice shaking. Car loan, $32,000, approved January 3rd. Each line felt like another punch to the gut. I never applied for any of these. Natasha and I had moved our investigation to her apartment after work. Empty takeout containers littered her coffee table as we dug deeper into the financial mess my family had created. How did they even get approved for these? Natasha asked, scrolling through the documents on her laptop. They had everything they needed. My social security number, birth certificate, all my personal information. I rubbed my temples. They're my parents. I trusted them with everything. My phone, which I'd turned back on, buzzed with another message from Terrence. Come on, sis. Don't be like that. Just answer Mom and Dad's calls. Look at this, Natasha said, turning her laptop toward me. She'd pulled up my bank statements from the past year. These regular transfers to this account. Is that Terrence's? I leaned in closer. Yeah, that's his. Mom said he needed help with rent. My voice trailed off as I did the math. $5,000 a month? That's more than his entire rent should be. A knock at the door made us both jump. Natasha checked the peephole and then opened it, revealing Dean from work, carrying a stock of papers. I hope you don't mind, Natasha said. I called him. He used to work in financial crimes at his old bank. Dean set the papers down. I did some digging. Freya, this is bigger than just credit card fraud. These loans, they're using sophisticated identity theft techniques. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. My dad, I said quietly. He works in finance. He'd know how to do this. Dean sat down across from me. There's something else. I found multiple accounts at Golden Palace Casino under variations of your name. They've been active for months. My phone rang again. Mom. This time I answered and put it on speaker. Freya, please come home. We need to talk about this as a family. Like how you talked to me before taking out loans in my name. Your brother needed help. He was in trouble with some very dangerous people. We had no choice. I caught Dean's eye as he mouthed, "Record this." Natasha was already hitting record on her phone. So you decided to steal my identity? My voice was steady now, fueled by anger. Don't be so dramatic. We're your parents. Everything we have is yours anyway. We just needed to help Terrence get back on his feet. By destroying my credit. By stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in my name. Keep your voice down, Mom hissed. Your brother might hear you. He's very fragile right now. Dean was frantically writing something on a notepad. Ask about the casino accounts. Mom, what about the casino accounts in my name? There was a long pause. I don't know what you're talking about. Golden Palace Casino. Multiple accounts. Ring any bells? That's nothing for you to worry about. Your father has it under control. Natasha made a disgusted noise. Dean kept writing. Get her to admit to the loans. So you and Dad did take out those loans using my information? Of course we did. And you should be grateful. Do you know what would have happened to Terrence if we hadn't? Those gambling debts would have gotten him killed. I felt the blood drain from my face. Dean and Natasha exchanged looks. Mom, you just admitted to committing identity theft. That's a federal crime. Don't you dare threaten me. I am your mother. Not anymore. I hung up. The silence in the room was heavy. Dean broke it first. Freya, you have enough evidence here for a solid case, that recording alone. I found something else, Natasha interrupted, holding up a stack of mail she'd retrieved from her bag. These fell out of your desk when you were moving stuff earlier. They're bank statements addressed to your apartment, but they're not yours. I grabbed the envelopes. They were indeed addressed to my apartment, but to T. Murray, Terrence. Inside were statement after statement showing massive casino withdrawals and overdraft fees. He's been using my address, I whispered. They've all been lying to me for months. Years, probably. Dean touched my arm gently. You need to decide what you want to do. But whatever you decide, you need to protect yourself first. I looked at the evidence spread across the table. The loans, the credit card statements, the casino accounts, the recorded confession, and now these bank statements. Years of being the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who always cleaned up everyone else's messes, and this was how they repaid me. I want to burn it all down, I said, surprising myself with the coldness in my voice. I want them to face every single consequence of what they've done. Natasha squeezed my hand. Then, let's make that happen. The bank manager's office felt too small, too warm. I sat across from her desk, watching as she reviewed the stack of documents I'd brought. Ms. Murray, she said, looking up from the papers. This is extensive. And you're saying none of these loans or accounts were authorized by you? No. My parents and brother used my information without my knowledge. She nodded, making notes. We'll need to file formal fraud reports for each account. But first, she pulled out a fresh document. There's something you should see. Another loan application was submitted in your name yesterday. My hands clenched into fists. They're still doing it? The application hasn't been processed yet. We flagged it due to the sudden high volume of credit requests. As we discussed the next steps, my phone vibrated. A text from Dean. Terrence just walked into Golden Palace. Want me to follow? I hadn't expected Dean to actually stake out the casino, but I texted back immediately. Yes. Please. The bank manager was still talking. And we'll need you to sign these forms to begin the investigation. 20 minutes later, I walked out with a thick folder of documentation. Dean was waiting in his car across the street. You won't believe what I saw, he said as I got in. Your brother's in there right now, throwing around hundreds like they're nothing. He's at the high-stakes poker table. Take me there. The casino was gaudy, all flashing lights and electronic chimes. Dean led me to an observation area above the poker tables. There was Terrence, surrounded by chips, laughing with a cocktail in his hand. Would you like a drink, sir? A waitress appeared beside us. No, thank you. Dean started. Yes, I interrupted. I'll have whatever he's having. I pointed at Terrence. Minutes later, I walked down to the poker table, drink in hand. Terrence didn't notice me at first, too focused on his cards. Hitting it big, little brother? He looked up, his smile faltering for just a second before returning, broader and faker than before. Freya, come to join the fun? Where'd you get the money, Terence? He laughed, loud and hollow. What are you, Mom? I'm working now, remember? Really? Because last I heard, you needed to borrow $500 for rent. The other players were starting to look uncomfortable. Terence's smile became fixed. Let's talk about this later, sis. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about the loans in my name, the credit cards, the casino accounts. Terence's face darkened. You're making a scene. You're making a felony. He stood up abruptly, grabbing my arm and pulling me away from the table. Dean started forward, but I waved him back. What the hell is wrong with you? Terence hissed once we were in a quiet corner. Me? You stole my identity. I didn't steal anything. Mom and Dad handled all that. They're just trying to help me get back on my feet. With my money? My credit? He smirked, and in that moment, I saw him clearly for the first time. Come on, Freya. We both know you're the responsible one, the successful one. You can handle this. I'm the one who needs help. You need help, all right. Professional help. Don't act all high and mighty. You've always loved playing the martyr, haven't you? Perfect Freya, always sacrificing for the family. My phone buzzed. A text from Natasha. Got the footage from the bank security cameras. Clear shots of your dad submitting the loan applications. Terence glanced at my phone. What are you going to do? Turn us in? They're your parents, Freya. They'll never forgive you. Maybe I'll never forgive them. He laughed again, but there was an edge to it now. You know what's funny? Mom and Dad are so worried about you finding out, but I told them not to stress. I said, Freya will cave. She always does. She'll cry and yell, but in the end, she'll help us fix it. She always does. I took a slow sip of my drink, letting his words sink in. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed. Who are you calling? The police. His smirk vanished. You're bluffing. Hello? Yes, I'd like to report multiple instances of identity theft and fraud. I'm at Golden Palace Casino, and one of the perpetrators is here right now, gambling with stolen money. Terence lunged for my phone, but Dean was suddenly there, stepping between us. Don't, Dean said quietly. You've done enough. Terence looked from Dean to me, his face contorting with rage. You stupid bitch! You have no idea what you're doing. Actually, I said, watching as two security guards approached, responding to Dean's signal. For the first time in my life, I know exactly what I'm doing. The guards reached us just as Terence tried to run. As they detained him, I could hear him shouting, Call Mom! Call Dad! Freya's lost her mind. But I wasn't listening anymore. I was already walking away, sending a group text to my parents. Terence is about to be arrested. Your turn is coming. I have everything documented. Dean fell into step beside me. You okay? No, I said, but I will be. The police station's fluorescent lights made everything look harsh and unreal. I sat in a hard plastic chair, watching through a window as Terence was processed. Mom and Dad hadn't arrived yet, but their frantic texts kept lighting up my phone. You need to eat something, Dean said, offering me a sandwich from the vending machine. I can't. Detective Rivera sat down across from us, spreading out photos of the bank surveillance footage. Your father is clearly visible in these images, submitting documents in your name, combined with the recorded phone conversation with your mother, we have a solid case. My phone rang again. Dad. You should answer it, the detective said, nodding to her colleague to record the call. I put it on speaker. Hello? Freya. What have you done? Dad's voice was trembling. They're holding your brother like a common criminal. He is a criminal. So are you and Mom. We are your family. Everything we did was to protect... To protect Terrence, I know, but who was protecting me? You're being selfish. Your brother could face jail time. Detective Rivera slid a notepad across the table. Ask about the latest loan application. Dad, why did you submit another loan application in my name yesterday? A pause. Who told you about that? The bank flagged it. Were you planning to steal even more money from me? It's not stealing when it's family. Terrence needed... How much does he owe? I interrupted. The real amount, Dad. No more lies. Another pause, longer this time. Close to $500,000. Dean swore under his breath. Detective Rivera leaned forward. To who? I asked. Some people. Bad people. They were threatening him. So you decided to sacrifice my future instead? We had a plan! Once Terrence won big at the casino, we'd pay everything back. You'd never even know. Never know that my own parents committed felony fraud? That you destroyed my credit? That you... A commotion in the hallway cut me off. Mom burst in, her face red and tear-streaked. How dare you! She screamed, lunging toward me. An officer stepped between us. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done to me, I corrected, standing up. Where were you when I needed help with college? When I was working 3 jobs to pay my rent? You were too busy bailing out Terrence. He's sensitive. He needs us. And I don't. You're strong. You can handle it. Not anymore. I turned to Detective Rivera. I want to press charges against all of them. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Dad's voice came through the phone, still on speaker. Princess, please, we can work this out. We're family. Family doesn't steal from family, Dean said quietly. Detective Rivera nodded to an officer. Mr. Murray, we need you to come down to the station immediately. I need to call our lawyer. That would be wise, the detective said. Mrs. Murray, please remain here. Mom looked up at me. Her makeup streaked across her face. You're really doing this? To your own parents? You did this. All of you. Every time you chose Terrence over me. Every time you stole from me. Every time you lied. We'll never forgive you for this, she spat. I know. My voice was steady. I'm counting on it. The detective led Mom to another room for questioning. Through the window, I could see Terrence in his cell, head in his hands. Dean touched my shoulder. Want to get some air? Outside, the night air was cool on my face. My phone buzzed with a text from Natasha. Just saw the news. You okay? Need me to come down? No, I texted back. But maybe later. Wine and ice cream? Already bought both. You're staying with me tonight. No arguments. Dean leaned against the wall beside me. You know what happens next, right? This goes public. Court dates. Family drama splashed across local news. I know. Your parents could go to jail. I know that too. He studied my face. You're not backing down, are you? They made their choice. Every time they forged my signature. Every time they took out another loan. Every time they chose Terrence. I looked up at the stars, barely visible through the city lights. Now I'm making mine. Detective Rivera wants your statement. an officer called from the door. I straightened up, squaring my shoulders. Inside, I could hear Mom still crying, Dad's arrival creating another wave of drama, Terrence's demands to speak to a lawyer. The family I'd spent my whole life protecting was falling apart, but for the first time, I wasn't rushing to pick up the pieces. "Ready?" Dean asked. I nodded, turning back toward the station. Ready to tell the truth. All of it. The courthouse hallway buzzed with tension. 3 weeks had passed since that night at the police station, and now we were all here for the preliminary hearing. My parents sat on one bench, Terrence on another with his court-appointed lawyer. None of them would look at me. "Remember," my lawyer whispered, "let me do most of the talking. Only answer what's asked." Natasha squeezed my hand. Dean stood nearby, his presence steady and reassuring. A bailiff opened the courtroom doors. "All rise!" Inside, everything happened quickly. The charges were read: identity theft, fraud, financial exploitation. My parents' lawyer tried to paint it as a family matter that got out of hand. Terrence's lawyer argued addiction as a mitigating factor. Then it was my turn to testify. "Ms. Murray," the prosecutor began, "please tell the court about when you first discovered the fraud." I described finding the credit card charges, the loans, the casino accounts. My voice stayed steady until I reached the part about my mother's phone call. "And what did your mother say when you confronted her?" "She said I should be grateful, that I was the strong one, so I could handle it, that Terrence needed protection more than I did." Mom made a choked sound from her seat. Dad stared at his hands. "And the total amount of fraudulent charges and loans?" $487,235. The judge's eyebrows rose. Terrence shifted uncomfortably. "Your Honor," my parents' lawyer interrupted, "this is clearly a family matter that got out of hand. The Murray family has always been close-knit." "Close-knit?" I couldn't help myself. "They stole $500,000 from me." "Ms. Murray," the judge warned, "please only speak when questioned." "Sorry, Your Honor." Terrence's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client has struggled with gambling addiction. He never intended—" "That's bull!" I burst out again. "He was bragging about it at the casino. He said I would cave, that I always cave." "Ms. Murray," the judge's voice was sharp, "one more outburst and you'll be held in contempt." My lawyer touched my arm, calming me. The prosecutor continued, presenting the bank footage, phone recordings, and documentation. With each piece of evidence, my family seemed to shrink further into themselves. During a brief recess, Terrence approached me in the hallway. Dean immediately stepped closer. "Freya," Terrence said, his voice low, "you can still stop this. We're blood. Blood doesn't steal from blood. Those people I owe money to, they're dangerous. If I go to jail—" "You should have thought about that before you gambled away $500,000 of my money." His face darkened. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Saint Freya, always doing the right thing. You're loving this, aren't you? Finally getting to punish us all?" Loving this. I stepped closer, my voice shaking. "I'm watching my family get charged with felonies. Mom might go to jail. Dad might lose his license. And you still think you're the victim here." "I am the victim. I'm sick. I need help, not punishment. Then you should have asked for help. Real help, not stolen my identity and destroyed my life." "Everything okay here?" A bailiff approached, eyeing Terrence. "Fine," he muttered, backing away. "Just fine." Back in the courtroom, the judge reviewed all the evidence before speaking. The evidence of systematic fraud is overwhelming. This wasn't a one-time mistake or a family emergency. This was a calculated, long-term scheme to exploit Ms. Murray's credit and identity. She turned to my parents. As her parents, you were supposed to protect her, not exploit her. Mom started crying again. Dad put his arm around her. Given the severity and duration of these crimes, I'm setting bail at $100,000 each. Mr. Terence Murray will remain in custody due to flight risk. Trial dates will be set for next month. The gavel struck. My parents' lawyer immediately began discussing payment plans. Terence was led away in handcuffs, shooting me a look of pure hatred. In the hallway, Mom approached me one last time. "Are you happy now?" she asked, her voice bitter. "You've destroyed this family." "No, Mom, you did that. Every time you chose him over me. Every time you stole from me. Every time you said I could handle it because I was strong. He's your brother. And I'm your daughter. Or I was." Dad tried to speak, but I turned away, walking toward Dean and Natasha. Behind me, I could hear Mom's sobs echoing through the courthouse halls. "You did the right thing," Natasha said, hugging me. "Then why does it feel so awful?" Dean took my hand. "Because you're a good person. Because despite everything they did, you still love them." "Yeah," I said, watching as my parents were led away to process bail. "I do. And that's the worst part of all of this." We walked out into the sunlight, leaving behind the family I'd lost by finally finding the strength to stand up for myself. "You've got another letter," Natasha said, holding up an envelope with the jail's return address. "Want me to add it to the pile?" I nodded from my spot on her couch, where I'd been living for the past 2 weeks. The pile of unopened letters from Terence had grown to 12. Mom and Dad, out on bail, had switched from crying voicemails to angry texts to guilt-ridden emails. My phone buzzed. Dean. "Turn on Channel 7 now." Natasha grabbed the remote. The local news was running a story about our case, in what prosecutors are calling one of the largest family fraud cases in the state. The victim's own parents allegedly... "Victim," I muttered. I hate that word. The story cut to footage of my parents leaving the courthouse, then to an old family photo someone had dug up. We were all smiling at some long-ago birthday party. Terence was blowing out candles. I was standing in the background, always in the background. A knock at the door made us jump. Dean stood there with takeout bags. "Thought you might need dinner after seeing that," he said. "They made me look like some sort of tragic figure," I said, taking a container of pad thai. "Poor Freya, betrayed by her family." "You were betrayed," Natasha pointed out. "I know, but..." My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Hello, is this Freya?" A man's voice, unfamiliar. "I'm calling about your brother's debt." My blood ran cold. Dean noticed my expression and moved closer. "Who is this? Let's just say I'm one of the people your brother owes money to. A lot of money." "That's not my problem." "It is now. See, your brother promised he'd pay us back with his casino winnings, but now he's in jail, thanks to you. You should talk to his lawyer." The man laughed. "We don't do lawyers. We do family, and your family." "Are you threatening me?" Dean grabbed my phone, putting it on speaker. Natasha was already dialing the police. "Not threatening, just explaining the situation. Your brother owes us $200,000. We're willing to be reasonable. Pay us, and this all goes away." "And if I don't?" Then maybe those charges against your parents get worse. Maybe some new evidence appears. Maybe I report this call to the FBI. Dean cut in. Since you're adding extortion to illegal gambling. A pause. Who's this? Someone who's recording this call and tracing this number. The line went dead. Call Detective Rivera, Dean said to Natasha. Now! My hands were shaking. They found me. They actually found me. They're trying to scare you, Dean said, pulling me close. We won't let them. Detective Rivera arrived 30 minutes later with 2 other officers. We'll need to set up surveillance, she said, pacing Natasha's living room. And you'll need protection. I can't stay here, I said to Natasha. I'm putting you in danger. Don't even think about it, Natasha replied. We're in this together. She's right, Dean added. You're not alone anymore. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. These men came to our house. What have you done? Why can't you just help your brother? Detective Rivera read the text over my shoulder. We'll need to question your parents about their contact with these individuals. They'll never cooperate, I said. They'll protect Terrence until the end. Then they'll face additional charges. Another text came through, this time from Dad. Princess, please. These men are serious. Just pay them. We'll figure out the rest later. Still protecting him, I whispered. Even now. Dean took my hand. You don't have to answer them. Actually, Detective Rivera said, we might want her to, if we can get them to admit more about these men. My phone rang again, another unknown number. Detective Rivera nodded to her colleague to trace it. Hello? Freya? It was Terrence, calling from jail. You have to help me. These guys, they're not playing around. Neither am I. They'll hurt Mom and Dad. Don't you care? Of course I care, but I'm done fixing your messes. They know where you live, where you work, who your friends are. Detective Rivera was frantically writing notes, coordinating with someone on her radio. Is that a threat, Terrence? It's a warning. Family looks out for family. Family doesn't destroy family. You're destroying me! No, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. You did that all on your own. I hung up, looking at the room full of people who had my back. Really had my back. Not like my family had claimed to all these years. Okay, I said to Detective Rivera. What's our next move? For the first time in my life, I wasn't facing a crisis alone, and that made all the difference. The trial date arrived faster than I expected. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters, their cameras flashing as we approached. Dean kept his arm around me, shielding me from their questions. Ms. Murray, how does it feel to testify against your own family? Did you know about your brother's gambling addiction? Are your parents going to prison? Inside, my parents sat with their lawyer, both looking older than I remembered. Mom had lost weight. Dad's hair had gone completely grey. They didn't look like criminals. They looked broken. Terrence was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, handcuffs clinking. The past month in jail hadn't been kind to him. His eyes were hollow, his face gaunt. All rise! The proceedings began with opening statements. The prosecutor laid out the evidence methodically: bank records, forged documents, recorded conversations. My parents' lawyer spoke about family loyalty and misguided love. Terrence's lawyer emphasized addiction and mental health. Then they called me to testify. Ms. Murray, the prosecutor began, please tell the court about your relationship with your family before discovering the fraud. We were close. Or I thought we were. I was always the one they counted on, the responsible one. And how did they repay that trust? Objection, my parents' lawyer called out, leading the witness. Sustained. The prosecutor rephrased. What happened when you discovered the unauthorized loans? I described everything. The credit card charges, the loans, the confrontations. As I spoke, I couldn't look at my family. I kept my eyes on Dean and Natasha in the gallery. And the threatening calls? The prosecutor asked. They started after Terrence was arrested. Men he owed money to, demanding I pay his debts. Did your family support you during these threats? No. They told me to pay the men. To protect Terrence. Again. During cross-examination, my parents' lawyer tried a different approach. Isn't it true your parents only wanted to help their son? By destroying my life? By protecting their child from dangerous criminals? I'm their child too, the lawyer paused. And haven't they always provided for you? Supported you? No. They supported Terrence. I supported myself, and then they stole from me to support him more. Terrence's lawyer was next. Ms. Murray, are you aware of the nature of gambling addiction? Yes. I researched treatment programs for years, tried to get him help. He refused. So you knew he was sick? Being sick doesn't give you the right to steal $500,000. A commotion erupted in the gallery. One of the men who'd threatened me had stood up. You think this is over? He shouted. You think testifying fixes anything? Security rushed toward him. More men stood up. 4, 5, 6 of them. Your brother still owes us, another yelled. The judge banged her gavel. Order! Clear the courtroom! Dean vaulted over the barrier, reaching me before the guards did. Natasha was right behind him. They formed a human shield as chaos erupted. My mother's voice cut through the noise. Just pay them, Freya! Please! I turned to see her being led away by guards, still reaching toward me. Dad wouldn't look at me at all. Terrence was laughing, actually laughing, as they rushed him out. You see? He called out. You can't escape family, sis. Detective Rivera appeared with more officers, surrounding us as they cleared the courtroom. In the hallway, she turned to me. We got them. All of them. Recording devices caught everything. We've been tracking these guys for months. What? Your case helped us build a bigger one against an organized crime ring. Those men. They're going down too. I sagged against Dean, the adrenaline wearing off. The judge called us back in an hour later, the courtroom now heavily guarded. In light of today's events, she announced, and the overwhelming evidence presented, I'm prepared to rule. My parents stood with their lawyer. Terrence was brought back in, no longer laughing. The defendants have not only committed serious financial crimes, but have continued to demonstrate a complete lack of remorse or understanding of their actions. Furthermore, their connection to known criminal elements presents a clear danger. She turned to my parents. 5 years each, with possibility of parole after 3, plus full restitution. Mom collapsed into Dad's arms. As for Terrence Murray, given your prior record and the severity of these crimes, 10 years, no possibility of parole for 7. You can't do this, Terrence shouted. Freya, tell them you forgive us. But I didn't. I couldn't. As they were led away, I stayed silent, holding on to Dean and Natasha's hands. Outside, reporters swarmed again, but Detective Rivera's team cleared a path. It's over, Dean said softly, but looking at my family being led to separate police vehicles, I knew it wasn't over. It was just different now. Permanently, irreversibly different. And somehow, I was okay with that. The last box from my parents' house sat unopened on my new apartment floor. Dean and Natasha lounged on the couch we'd just hauled up 3 flights of stairs, watching me stare at it. "You don't have to open it today," Natasha said. "Yes, I do." I cut through the tape. Inside were photo albums, childhood memorabilia, and a stack of letters tied with ribbon, every birthday card I'd ever received from my parents. The doorbell rang. Detective Rivera stood there with a thick envelope. "The restitution papers came through," she said, stepping inside. "The courts seized your parents' assets and Terrence's accounts. It won't cover everything, but it's a start." I nodded, still staring at the birthday cards. "There's something else." She pulled out another document. "The gambling ring we took down. There's a victims' compensation fund. You qualify for it." "I don't want their money." "Take it," she insisted. "Use it to rebuild. That's the best revenge. Living well." My phone buzzed with a text from the prison chaplain. "Your mother asked to see you again. Should I tell her the same thing?" Still no. I typed back. Dean moved to sit beside me, picking up one of the photo albums. "Look at this one," he said, pointing to a picture of teenage me at a science fair. "First place ribbon. Were your parents there?" "No, they were at Terrence's baseball game." "Their loss," Natasha said, joining us. "Because that girl grew up to be pretty amazing." Detective Rivera cleared her throat. "The DA wanted me to tell you. Your testimony didn't just help your case. 3 other families have come forward about similar fraud schemes. You started something important." "I didn't want to start anything. I just wanted to be valued," Dean finished. "To be protected instead of being the protector." "Yeah." I picked up a birthday card from when I turned 16. Inside, Mom had written, "You're so strong, sweetheart. We're so lucky to have you." "They were right about one thing," I said, ripping the card in half. "I'm strong." Natasha grabbed a trash bag. "Keep or toss?" I looked at the pile of memories. "Toss. All of it." As we filled the bag, my phone rang. An unknown number. My heart jumped, but Detective Rivera checked it. "It's clear," she said. "Not from the prison or any known associates." It was the bank. "Ms. Murray, your credit restoration claim has been approved. All fraudulent accounts have been removed from your record." After I hung up, Dean pulled me close. "That's worth celebrating." "Actually," I said, "I have a better idea." An hour later, we stood in front of Golden Palace Casino. The same doorman who had watched Terrence gamble away stolen money nodded to us. "You sure about this?" Natasha asked. I walked straight to the high-stakes poker table where I'd confronted Terrence. The dealer recognized me from the news. "What's your game?" he asked. "Not gambling," I said, pulling out my phone. I dialed the prison chaplain's number. "Hello?" "Tell my mother I'll see her. And tell her this, I'm at the casino right now, at Terrence's favorite table. But I'm not playing. I'm walking away. That's what strength really looks like." I hung up and turned to my friends. My real family now. "Let's go home." Outside, the evening air was cool and clean. Detective Rivera's phone buzzed. "They got the last one," she said. "The final member of the gambling ring. It's really over now." "No," I said, watching the casino lights flicker behind us. "It's just beginning." Dean took my hand as we walked away. Natasha linked her arm through mine on the other side. "You know what the best part is?" I said. "For the first time in my life, I don't feel responsible for anyone else's happiness, just my own. Speaking of happiness, Dean said, pulling me closer, how about dinner? I know this great little place. As long as it's not the restaurant your parents own, Natasha teased. God, no. He laughed. I learned from Freya. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born with. I stopped walking, looking at these people who had stood by me through everything. Dean with his unwavering support, Natasha with her fierce loyalty, even Detective Rivera with her dedication to justice. Thank you, I said, all of you, for helping me find my strength. You always had it, Natasha said. You just needed to use it for yourself instead of everyone else. We walked on into the evening, leaving behind the casino, the memories, and the weight of family obligations I'd carried for so long. Ahead lay something better, freedom, truth, and the kind of love that builds you up instead of tearing you down. I was finally, completely free.